Welcome to astronauts.com. Today I'm going to show you how to use double-pointed needles and do a crossover join. You may need to use double-pointed needles when knitting in the round on less stitches than fit around a circular needle. Socks or fingerless gloves are great examples of projects where you may need to use double-pointed needles. To cast on to work in the round on double-pointed needles, start by casting on all stitches onto a single needle. You might want to use a point protector to make sure no stitches slip off the back end. Once you've casted on your stitches, carefully slip as if to purl an even number of stitches onto each of your 3 or 4 needles. You will need to have one empty needle when you are done. When you get as many stitches onto one needle as you want, continue slipping stitches onto the next empty needle, sliding stitches to the center of each needle so they don't fall off. To prepare for a join, arrange your needles so the cast-on edge is in the center and the last cast-on stitch, which is attached to the working yarn, is on the right-hand side. Make sure that the stitches are not twisted around or you will end up with a Mobius piece. Next, you will need to join in the round. It will help to have your stitches close to the tips of the working needles. It also helps to have the 2 needles you are working with on top of the pile. Make sure that the first cast-on stitch is on your left-hand needle and the last cast-on stitch is on your right-hand needle. To execute a crossover join, slip the first cast-on stitch as if to purl from the left-hand needle to the right-hand needle. Next, begin to execute a bind-off, only this time do not drop the stitch off either needle. You simply want to exchange the place of the first and last cast-on stitches, creating a crossover. After you have joined, begin knitting holding the empty needle in your right hand and needle one of your round in your left hand. The tail of the yarn will now mark the beginning of your round. Knit or follow your pattern across this needle, working all stitches onto the right-hand needle. When working with double-pointed needles, you are still only knitting with 2 needles as usual. The other needles function as holders while not in use, and it is helpful to manipulate these needles to a position behind the 2 needles you are working with. Now your left-hand needle will be empty, and you continue around, always starting to work stitches from the left hand to the empty needle in your right hand. If the first stitch on a needle is a purl, make sure that the working yarn has not wrapped itself incorrectly around the prior needle, or you will create extra unwanted yarn overs. Your work should be growing down and towards you, and you should be working around the outside of the tube when working in the round. This ensures your piece isn't tighter than intended. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to visit astronauts.com for more knitting videos and great knitting info.